A lot to get to on today's show as it's yet another Victory Monday as the Philadelphia Eagles pushed that record to 12-1 by thrashing the New York Giants. But during our watch party yesterday, just want to thank everybody for getting us past 37,000 subscribers, another fantastic milestone right here on Eagles Now. So if you haven't subscribed, do so right now and join the Eagles Now family here at Chat Sports for year-round daily coverage of the Birds by hitting that subscribe button down below. And without further ado, let's chop it up and dive into today's show. Philadelphia Eagles Now is presented by Manscaped. This Eagles defense generated 7 sacks of Daniel Jones yesterday. If you want to clean up your sack with the best men's grooming products, do so right now. Manscaped.com/chat. A wonderful holiday deal going down right now. 20% off and free shipping. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Coming your way on today's show. Really a lot to unpack and talk about, especially on the injury front for Philadelphia. Latest on Reed Blankenship and the knee injury that he suffered. Also have an injury update on Lane Johnson. Should the Eagles sign punter Matt Araiza, who was deemed as the punt god going into the NFL draft this past year? And of course, we're touching on all of the latest Eagles news and rumors. But first, it's another Victory Monday. And with that win, dominant performance at the Meadowlands against the Giants, the Eagles able to punch their ticket to the 2022 NFL playoffs and clinch a playoff spot. If that has you pumped up that the Birds are playoff bound, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. So we start off with Reed Blankenship, and it looks as though the Eagles getting some good news on this front, but at that safety spot, things, as we're about to unpack, getting a little bit hairy as we progress here in the regular season. Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, saying the Eagles did receive good news on Reed Blankenship's knee following the scans early on Monday morning. Low-grade sprain as he kind of was amongst the trees there during that knee injury when it was suffered. Makes it a short-term injury. Timeline still to be determined, but not a candidate to go on injured reserve. So that is a positive development for the Birds, who are a little bit banged up at that safety spot, because if he goes on IR with C.J. Gardner-Johnson already on IR, he has to miss at least the next 4 weeks, and we're already coming down the stretch run here in the regular season. And without C.D. Deuce, the Eagles are already very thin at safety. You look at the safeties on the depth chart right now, there are only 2. If Blankenship can't go, and of course, C.J. Gardner-Johnson can't go because he's still on IR and has to get activated yet, Marcus Epps, Kevon Wallace. Now, there are some candidates who could fill in for Reed Blankenship if he's not able to play this upcoming Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Or maybe the Eagles look for some external options. The internal options right now, it does include Avonte Maddox, who obviously is a very good nickel and slot corner, as well as Josiah Scott, who filled in for Avonte Maddox at that slot and nickel corner position when Avonte Maddox missed some time because of that hamstring injury. Other safety options who were external candidates. We talked a lot about Malcolm Jenkins, but as he said on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, the Saints still own his contractual rights. So they would have to basically release him from those contract rights because he did retire, making him a free agent, and then the Eagles would be able to bring him in. I'd say that's somewhat unlikely, although I'd entertain the possibility, and Jenkins himself said that he would entertain the possibility because he's still working out and believes that he could play for a playoff run, and what better guy to bring in than a guy like that when the other options out there, another former Eagle and Anthony Harris, who was just let go by the Denver Broncos, and Jaquiski Tart, who didn't even crack the 53-man roster for Philadelphia, but spent some time with this team in the preseason. If Blankenship's out for the next couple of weeks, but the Eagles don't believe that it's going to be an IR stint, a minimum of 4 weeks, maybe they look at some of those other options and even some players who we talked about a couple of weeks ago when C.J. Gardner-Johnson went down. The Eagles can no doubt, in my eyes, survive without Reed Blankenship by playing Avonte Maddox, Josiah Scott at that safety position against the Chicago Bears. But a huge game is coming up in 2 weeks on Christmas Eve against the Dallas Cowboys. That is a different story because that game could decide the winner of the NFC East and maybe even the number 1 seed in the NFC. And if you're short in the secondary, this is why a pass rush is vital. If you're generating a pass rush against opposing quarterbacks, not giving them time to dissect your defense and carve you up, then it makes the job for the secondary a lot easier. If you can't get a pass rush, and some of these quarterbacks can sit back in the pocket all day, they can scan and survey the field because they don't have to worry about a pass rush. That makes the job of the back end a lot harder because they have to maintain step for step with some of these elite wide receivers in the NFL. The good thing for Philadelphia is that all throughout this year, their pass rush has been phenomenal, and it was once again against the New York Giants. 7 sacks on the day, led by Brandon Graham's 3, Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams, who I thought played really good football, Hassan Reddick, and Josh Sweat also tallying a sack at the Meadowlands at MetLife. How about Hassan Reddick, too, by the way? First player in the history of the National Football League to have 10 sacks in 3 straight seasons with 3 different teams. That acquisition for Philadelphia in free agency has ended up reaping massive benefits for this football team and this defense, and it's right up there with the trade for A.J. Brown. Going back to Brandon Graham here, and by the way, Fletcher Cox has looked a little bit rejuvenated the last couple of weeks to start the year. Top 10 defensive tackle money. He was bad, but the last couple of weeks, thankfully, he's returned to that form that we know that Cox can live up to. But for Brandon Graham, he should win Comeback Player of the Year. Say that again. Brandon Graham should win NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He's 34 years old. He's coming off a torn Achilles, and he's having arguably the best season of his career coming off that catastrophic injury at 34 years old in a contract year in which he's looking to secure at least one more bag in his NFL career. 8.5 sacks, that is 1 sack away from tying his career total. 13 quarterback hits for this all-time Philadelphia Eagles legend. 36 pressures, 2 forced fumbles, and his Pro Football Focus grades up there with some of the upper echelon defensive ends in the NFL. Overall grade of 91.2. League average, by the way, is 70. A pass rush grade of 90.1. Run defense grade, which he's always been spectacular at, is defending the run, 83.6, and he is the Eagles representative for Walter Payton Man of the Year. If he doesn't win Comeback Player of the Year, I'm not sure who a viable candidate is to win that award because Brandon Graham's impact on this defense, coming back off that injury at this age, has really been a spectacular development for this Eagles defense, which is a big reason why they're one of the best defenses statistically in the NFL here in 2022. So to show some love to an all-time, and I mean an all-time Eagles legend, the forced fumble in the Super Bowl, biggest play against Tom Brady in Super Bowl 52 in my opinion. Type his jersey number down below. 55. This guy, just phenomenal player, great in the community, great in this locker room, and I hope that he is a lifetime Eagle, in fact. All right, now to Lane Johnson. More injury news to get to here. Also seems to be positive. Now, all of these injury items are major developments for this football team because of what they're trying to accomplish. Get that number 1 seed, home field advantage in the NFC, lock down the NFC East. That's going to have to come first with the Dallas Cowboys escaping against those awful Houston Texans, and things are still very closely contested in the NFC East and in the NFC for that matter, even though the Eagles getting a little bit of a break there with the Minnesota Vikings falling to a team in the Detroit Lions that I actually think is pretty solid. But for Lane Johnson, went down on Sunday with an abdominal injury. Sometimes these things can really linger and last for a long time. Did not suffer, though, a major injury and is considered day-to-day. Some good news on that front as well as the Reed Blankenship front. And the Eagles, it's pretty simple here. When Lane Johnson plays, they're a really good football team. When he doesn't play, they lose a lot of games. A couple months ago, when he went out, we talked about the Eagles' win-loss record when he was banged up earlier in the year, and you can see why, right? He is the best right tackle in the NFL. 839 total snaps, 473 pass blocking snaps so far this year, 0 sacks allowed, hasn't given one up since the middle portion of last year, 0 hits on Jalen Hurts allowed, and only 7 total pressures allowed on 839 total snaps and 473 pass block snaps. Lane Johnson is critically important to this Eagles offense as evidenced by these numbers and the win-loss numbers. Hopefully he can give it a go against the Bears on Sunday. Coming up next, should the Eagles, with this injury to Arryn Siposs, the punter, after that weird and wacky play, sign Matt Araiza? We're going to unpack that. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll take a look at some Araiza numbers because he is available on the free agency market. First, though, I had said this Eagles defense generating 7 sacks on Daniel Jones. If you want to clean up your sack, Manscaped is where it's at. 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products. Look, the holiday season is right around the corner. I don't know how we're already in the middle portion of December already with Christmas coming up and then New Year's right around the corner. End the year right. Start the year right with Manscaped and all of their great products. Fellas, this episode of Eagles Now is presented by our favorite producers of ball trimmers. Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming, are leaving 2022 with brand new products. We're talking Persevere Cologne, Persevere Body Wash. 2023 is the year to up your hygiene game and smell amazing. And Manscaped wants to help you do that with this special offer. If you use the code CHAT at manscaped.com/chat, 20% off and free shipping. Take the leap into the new year and join the 7 million men who already trust Manscaped today. 2023 is on its way. The last thing you want is to be the guy with pubes getting in the way of making it your best year yet. And the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0, which we're showing you right now, good job by producer Coop, right on cue right there, is the leader of the Performance Package 4.0, or as I call it, the perfect package for my package. You want to see what I'm talking about? You will not regret it. Manscaped.com/chat, the Lawnmower 4.0, battery life that lasts an eternity, interchangeable blades, safeguard technology, so you don't cut yourself up down there because a lot of us have been there and it ain't pretty. That link in the comment section and the description of this video. Punters are people too. Let's round out with that because Arryn Siposs going to be out indefinitely with a lower leg injury suffered when he scooped that ball up on that block punt in the shadows of the Eagles' own goalpost in their own end zone, ran, and then got hit pretty hard, just short of that first down in Sunday's win over the Giants. And Siposs still undergoing tests, but Philly is going to need to add a punter, according to Pelissero, and then Nick Sirianni said that moments ago. It's a little bit more severe than they originally thought. And the biggest name on the market right now in terms of punters is Matt Araiza. It does come with controversy, though. Matt Araiza was involved in a legal case that was not pretty and downright disgusting, but he will not face charges in connection with an alleged gang rape of a minor in October of 2021 as he was a member of the San Diego State football team. The Bills released Araiza after those charges came to light on August 27th after they selected him in the 6th round, and in the NFL preseason, he was really good. Here's why I don't think the Eagles will sign him. 1, it's more drama. 2, you don't need it on your football team. And a civil suit remains ongoing. So the legality of this could continue. But this guy has a hell of a leg. 79 punts last year at San Diego State. An average of 51.2. A long of 86. And we saw him uncork one of those during the preseason in a video that went viral. Find it on Twitter. And he had an astounding 37 punts of those 79 that were coffin corner kicks inside the 20-yard line. And this guy can be looked at as a legitimate weapon. He flips the field on a punt where, let's say like Siposs yesterday, you're in your own end zone. If he could push the opposing offense back to the 30, the 20, that's massive. If you could pin the opposing offense inside the 20 and make them go the length of the field to put points on the board, that's why a guy like this is valuable. But going back to that point that I just alluded to, do the Eagles really want this distraction? When a special element of this year, in the last 2 years under Nick Sirianni, has been the fact that the Eagles had this special culture inside the locker room led by Sirianni, led by Jalen Hurts, and some of the great veterans that they have on this team like Lane Johnson and Jason Kelce. It's a special culture, and you don't want to have a distraction enter the locker room if everything is moving swimmingly right now. And obviously, when you're 12-1 atop the NFC and you lock down a playoff spot in Week 14, things are in fact going swimmingly. Other punter options out there: Brock Miller, Brett Kern, Kevin Hubler, Ty Long, Blake Hayes. Brock Miller did try out with the Eagles a couple of times this year. He is currently, I believe, on the Bengals practice squad. But how about Brett Kern here? It sounds as though he is going to be visiting the Philadelphia Eagles, a 3-time Pro Bowl punter, most notably with the Tennessee Titans, is out there, and he could come in and get signed by Philadelphia. Keep an eye on that, and if it happens, of course, we'll cover it here on Eagles Now. So this question for you: would you sign Matt Araiza, knowing the ability that he has, and he was cleared of those charges despite the civil suit ongoing? I'm going to go R for too risky. You let me know if you agree with me by typing R or press S for sign. We have you covered with Eagles videos every single day, year-round, and that's still going to be the case this week. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow here on Eagles Now.